In the early 15th century, the Ming Dynasty launched the largest wooden fleet the world had ever seen. Under Admiral Zheng He, these treasure ships sailed as far as Africa, projecting Chinese power across the Indian Ocean. Today, as China builds modern naval bases across the same waters, historians ask, is history repeating itself? The term "string of pearls" first emerged in a 2005 U.S. Department of Defense report. It describes China's network of commercial and military facilities stretching from the South China Sea to the Horn of Africa. But is this truly a naval strategy or something more complex? To understand China's maritime ambitions, we must first journey back to the Yongle Emperor's reign. His vision wasn't just trade, it was about establishing a tribute system where foreign nations acknowledged Chinese superiority. The treasure fleets were floating embassies of soft power. Zheng He's largest ships, called treasure ships, were engineering marvels. Historical records suggest they measured over 400 feet long, larger than any European vessel for centuries. They carried porcelain, silk, and thousands of sailors on diplomatic missions. Then suddenly, the voyages stopped. By the 1430s, the Ming court turned inward, burning records and dismantling ships. Confucian scholars argued resources were better spent defending northern borders against Mongol threats. China's golden age of exploration ended abruptly. Fast forward to the 19th century, when China's naval weakness became catastrophic. During the Opium Wars, British steam-powered warships easily defeated outdated Chinese junks. This century of humiliation left deep psychological scars on China's strategic thinking. Modern China's naval rebirth began in the 1990s with a shift from coastal defense to blue water capabilities. Today's People's Liberation Army Navy operates aircraft carriers, nuclear submarines, and advanced destroyers. But their mission differs fundamentally from Zheng He's fleet. Let's examine the pearls themselves. Gwadar Port in Pakistan represents the westernmost point, a deepwater port with strategic access to the Arabian Sea. China invested billions here, but officially calls it an economic corridor, not a military base. Further south, Sri Lanka's Hambantota port became controversial when China took a 99-year lease. Critics see this as debt-trap diplomacy, while China emphasizes job creation and infrastructure development. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in between. The only officially acknowledged Chinese overseas military base sits in Djibouti, Africa. Established in 2017, it supports anti-piracy operations and protects shipping lanes. Notably, the US, France, and Japan also maintain bases in this strategic location. So how does this compare to historical precedents? The British Empire maintained coaling stations along trade routes. The United States built bases worldwide after WWII. China's approach combines commercial ports with selective military facilities, a hybrid model for the 21st century. Economically, the String of Pearls supports China's Belt and Road Initiative, the largest infrastructure project in history. Over 60 countries participate in this modern Silk Road, which depends on secure maritime routes for 90% of China's trade. Energy security drives much of this strategy. Nearly 80% of China's oil imports pass through the Strait of Malacca, a potential choke point. Alternative routes through Pakistan and Myanmar could reduce this vulnerability, explaining investments in port infrastructure. Militarily, China's naval doctrine emphasizes anti-access area denial in nearby seas while developing limited power projection capabilities. Unlike the US Navy's global presence, China focuses on protecting its immediate interests and sea lanes. Regional reactions vary widely. India views the String of Pearls as encirclement, dubbing it the Chinese necklace. Southeast Asian nations balance economic benefits against sovereignty concerns. Meanwhile, host countries often welcome investment despite geopolitical tensions. Technologically, The comparison between Ming treasure ships and modern vessels reveals more differences than similarities. Zheng He's fleet used celestial navigation and monsoon winds. Today's warships employ satellites, drones, and cyber capabilities unimaginable in the 15th century. Culturally, China's maritime revival taps into historical pride. School textbooks celebrate Zheng He as a peaceful explorer. This narrative supports modern claims that China seeks cooperative, win-win relationships, not colonial domination. However, tensions in the South China Sea tell a different story. China's island building and military installations there demonstrate hard power alongside soft diplomacy. This dual approach reflects lessons from both Ming glory and Qing humiliation. The U.S. response has included freedom of navigation operations and strengthening alliances like the Quad. This emerging great power competition echoes historical patterns, but with nuclear weapons and global supply chains raising the stakes. What does international law say? The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea provides framework, but interpretations differ. China emphasizes historic rights, while others champion freedom of navigation, a legal battleground as important as the military one. Looking deeper, China's maritime strategy reflects its unique civilizational perspective. Unlike Western sea powers that often sought colonies, traditional Chinese statecraft preferred the tribute system, where foreign recognition mattered more than territorial control. This philosophical approach continues today through concepts like community with shared future for mankind. Whether this represents genuine multilateralism or clever rhetoric remains debated by China watchers worldwide. Military analysts note China's Navy still lags behind the US in carrier experience and global basing. It will take decades to match American power projection capabilities, if that's even China's goal. Some argue China seeks dominance in Asia, not worldwide. The private sector plays a crucial role too. Chinese companies like COSCO operate commercial ports worldwide. This blurring between state and private interests makes the string of pearls more complex than pure military expansion. Environmental considerations add another layer. China's fishing fleet, the world's largest, sometimes faces accusations of overfishing. Maritime environmental protection has become both an ecological issue and a diplomatic tool. Historical lessons loom large. The Ming Dynasty's abandonment of sea power contributed to later vulnerability. Modern Chinese strategists study this carefully, determined not to repeat what they see as historical mistakes. Meanwhile, China develops cutting-edge naval technology, electromagnetic railguns, air-controlled vessels, and hypersonic missiles. These innovations could leapfrog traditional naval power, creating entirely new paradigms of maritime conflict. Cultural exchanges continue alongside military buildup. China sponsors Confucius Institutes worldwide and participates in joint naval exercises. This combination of hard and soft power mirrors Zheng He's approach of gifts alongside demonstrations of strength. The Indian Ocean remains the strategic prize. Whoever controls these shipping lanes influences global trade. China's investments here represent a long-term commitment to securing its economic lifelines, a rational strategy for any trading nation. So is China rebuilding the Ming Navy? In spirit, perhaps. Both seek prestige, security, and influence through maritime power. But in practice, modern China combines Ming ambition with Qing caution, Soviet planning with capitalist pragmatism. The string of pearls metaphor may be misleading. Pearls suggest decoration, but these are functional nodes in a global network. A better analogy might be secured waypoints, ensuring China's rise isn't derailed by maritime vulnerability as it was centuries ago. Ultimately, China's maritime strategy reflects its unique historical trajectory: glorious exploration followed by humiliating weakness, now culminating in cautious resurgence. The ships have changed from wood to steel, but the ocean remains the same vast theater of ambition. As we navigate these complex waters, remember that history never truly repeats, but it rhymes. China's maritime future will be shaped not just by admirals and engineers, but by traders, diplomats, and the timeless human drive to explore beyond the horizon. What do you think? Is China's naval expansion a natural evolution for trading power, or does it risk repeating imperial overreach? Share your thoughts below and explore our other videos about how ancient wisdom continues shaping modern China.